That is the new 2021 Ranger Tremor, and it is the most off-road worthy Ranger in the world. That's not entirely true because abroad they get the Ranger Raptor, but here in the United States, we're getting the Tremor, which is now the top dog available. And in this video, we're going to go over all the really cool gadgets and gizmos that make it so special. The Tremor is a $4,200 option on top of the XLT or the Lariat Ranger, and it is the top dog off-road version. Let's start out with the tires. The Ranger Tremor rolls on a set of 265/70 R17 General Grabber tires. These are the ATX tires, and they're much bigger than the standard Ranger. To accommodate the larger tires, the Tremor sits about 20 millimeters higher, or 0.8 of an inch higher than other Rangers. The Tremor has a set of Fox 2.0 shock absorbers, a big improvement over other Rangers, including the FX4. What that means is that in the rear, you've got a set of shocks with piggyback reservoirs. Now, suspension travel is also a little bit increased over the standard Ranger. So in the front, you have 20 millimeters more jounce travel, and in the rear, you have 30 millimeters more jounce travel. And what that means is when you're off-road going over the biggest, baddest boulders and whoops, when you really max out that suspension, you've got a little bit more room to cushion rather than just slamming into the bump stop. Now, when you combine that with the revamped rear leaf pack as well as the upgraded sway bars, the Ranger Tremor really is a pretty different truck underneath than any other Ranger. It's actually wider, about half an inch wider than other Rangers, and to accommodate for that, they've given you these little itty bitty fender flares. The new Ford Ranger Tremor is a good looking truck, especially in the front end design. Now, starting down here at the bottom, big metal skid plates throughout. Above that, tow hooks. Not super sure they're functional though, because of course, they're not painted red. Now, the bumper is this cool magnetic gray finish, and I especially love these red inserts here on the grille. They almost look like fangs. I think that's a really cool design. Now, moving up top here, the hood has this really cool sculpting on it, these square bulges. Overall, the front end design is just more aggressive and more exciting than any other Ranger. Actually, the whole truck is just more exciting than any other Ranger. That lift and those more aggressive tires make a big difference over what is typically a fairly utilitarian looking truck. This Tremor has a really unique set of running boards. Rather than being a full-length design, we actually have these two individual steps for both the front and the rear passengers. They do hang pretty low relative to the ground clearance on this Tremor, but they do have this really kind of aggressive bed lining pattern, at least on the areas you step. And in the area where you don't step here, it's just a non-textured metal. One part of this Ranger I really dislike is the $95 Secura Code touchpad on the side of the door. Now, it's a great feature. It allows you to unlock the vehicle if you don't have the key with you, but it just looks so stuck on when it comes to this Ranger. It's this black plastic thing that's just tacked onto the side of the door. On other Ford products, they are located here on the door pillar, the B pillar, and it just looks much more kind of even on the side of the truck. Now, probably the easiest way to tell a Tremor from a standard Ranger is the big Tremor sticker located here on the side of the bed. Now, there is an optional graphics package, which looks really cool, and I would strongly recommend, but if you want more of that subtle look, you can eliminate the graphics and just get the Tremor badge. Now, one thing that Ford has worked hard with on the Tremor package is maintaining its capability as a work tool. Oftentimes when you get the off-road version of a truck like the F-150 Raptor, you lose a lot of payload and towing capacity relative to other F-150s, but not with the Ranger Tremor. This truck, even with its Tremor off-road package, has 1,400 pounds of payload capacity and can tow 7,500, just like pretty much every other Ranger. That is really cool to see. There are some differences on the inside as well when you opt for the Tremor package. One of my favorite is right here, the Tremor logo stitched into the back of the seats. I think that looks really cool. Now, the seats themselves are very comfortable and supportive, and on this Lariat here, we have a partial leather and a partial suede design. Overall, it just feels really premium. Probably the biggest interior change here on the Tremor is the auxiliary switch panel, which is very similar to what you'd find in a vehicle like the Raptor. In this case, we have 6 switches. which you can wire up to your heart's desire for things like light bars and additional accessories. Now, just like the FX4, which is kind of the lesser off-road version of the Ranger, you have a number of different off-road toys and buttons to play with. First of all, we've got this button right here, the locking rear differential, which is a great thing. And to the left of that, we've got this button, which is trail control, or basically off-road cruise control, much like Toyota's crawl control. Now here we have our four-wheel drive selector. Obviously the Tremor is a four-wheel drive truck with 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low modes, although it is worth noting there is no 4 auto mode, so you're going to have to remember to switch it into 4 high if you live in a snowy place like Colorado, so you don't end up drifting madly all over the road. But we also have different terrain modes in the Tremor, just like the FX4. So we've got a normal mode, a grass, gravel, snow, a mud and ruts, and a sand mode. Now this particular Tremor is the Lariat trim, and take a look at these gauges. Now we have a big central analog speedometer, but the screens to both the left and the right of the speedometer are completely configurable. So right now on the right side I've got audio, but I can change that to stuff like navigation. But the cool one is actually the left screen. Currently I have the tachometer, but I can actually change that around and see different off-road pages and fuel economy info and the like. The interior on the Ranger Tremor is very functional, but it is definitely feeling a little bit dated, and some of the materials are a little bit on the scratchy side. A lot of the buttons, even though they work exactly the way they should, I don't know, they just don't feel very high quality, not very satisfying to use, and there's a reason for this. Now, this generation of Ranger came to the US for the 2019 model year. However, it's based on the T6 Ranger, which has been available abroad for about 10 years now, and this interior came in a facelift in 2015. So we're really dealing with about a 6-year-old interior. Even though Ford will probably disagree and say there's a lot of changes for the US market, the overall interior design is going on, about 6 years old, and certainly it feels it a little bit, at least in terms of material quality and like button layout. These little 6 buttons down here for the four-wheel drive and the diff locks and stuff, they're just, they don't feel very good. Now when you step into the back seat of the Ranger, it's actually very usable. The mid-size truck segment has grown substantially in the last couple of decades, and that means that rear seat legroom has also grown a lot, and now even a mid-size truck is a great family hauler. I do like the floor mats on this one, which are completely rubber throughout, and they do have some protection up here on the side so you're not getting your carpet all dirty. Now, one interesting feature back here is you may notice that unlike the front seats, they don't say Ranger on the back, and actually they don't even have that suede insert. They are just this full leather material throughout. There is some additional storage underneath the rear seat. Now, of course, we do have some basic tools back here which are included with the truck, but a small cubby over here on the driver's side and a much larger cubby over there on the passenger side. Now, the Tremor package does not change the engine substantially, so you still have a 2.3-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder. It develops 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque, and it's still mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. This is the only engine option available in the Ranger, and there's no manual option. The Tremor package is about a $4,200 option, and it's available on both the Lariat, or the more luxury-oriented trucks, or even the more basic XLT, and that's probably one of the coolest parts about the package. The truck you see behind me comes in at $48,000, which in the world of top-dog mid-size off-road trucks really isn't all that bad when you consider a Gladiator Rubicon can go well into the $60,000 range. You get a lot of value with the Ranger Tremor. Now, how does it drive? Well, I'm under a strict no driving impressions embargo until February 10th, and I can't compare this vehicle to any of its other competition until February 15th. So you're going to have to stay tuned for that to know how it does on-road, off-road, and maybe even a little bit of towing. Well, as always, this has been Tommy with the Fastlane Truck. Check out TFLtruck.com for the latest and greatest in independent and honest reviews.